Hey y'all, I'm Kaylin, and welcome to Tales from the Thicket. I share the kind of stories that tend to hide in the dark corners of the woods and sometimes in the back of your mind. The ones your uncle only talks about when he thinks nobody else is listening. The ones your grandma said were just old legends that still wouldn't go outside after dark. I'm from Southeast Texas, and trust me, we've got more than just alligators and muddy trails out here. There's history, there's heart, and sometimes there's something out there you just can't explain. So, if you're into folklore, true encounters, and things that go bump in the brush, you are in the right place. Now, let me tell you about one of the oldest legends in the Big Thicket. Okay, so have you ever been somewhere that just feels off? Like it's too quiet? Like the trees are watching you? That's how it is out in the Big Thicket. It's not just any patch of woods. This place is huge. Over 100,000 acres of tangled pine, hardwood, and swamp, so thick it feels like the woods are folding in on you. They call it the biological crossroads of North America. And yeah, it's got gators, wild hogs, snakes, the whole deal. But some folks say that's not all that's out here. People talk about seeing things, hearing things, and some of them say they smelled it before they ever saw it, like a mix of wet dog and something long dead. A couple of those folks, I know them, and let me tell you, they weren't joking. There's this one road, FM420, runs right through the thicket, real quiet during the day. But something about that drive at dusk just gives you the creeps. More than a few people say they've seen giant, hairy figures step out of the tree line, 2 legs, taller than any man has a right to be. Then, gone, just slips back into the woods like it was never there. And that is where our story starts. These aren't just tall tales. I'm going to tell you about real encounters, first-hand accounts, witness reports, and research that's gone on for decades. Then you can decide for yourself what you believe. All I'm saying is, if you're going to ride FM 420 after sunset, you might want to keep your eyes on the trees. Let me tell you about Rob Riggs. If you've ever looked up Bigfoot sightings in Southeast Texas, his name comes up fast. Rob was from Sour Lake, just a small town on the edge of the Big Thicket. He spent decades collecting stories about strange creatures people had seen in these woods. He wasn't just some guy making wild claims. He was a journalist. He documented everything, wrote articles, books, and probably heard more personal stories than most law enforcement ever will. And Rob, he didn't think these things were just animals. He had this theory that whatever people were seeing, these wild men, as he called them, maybe they had some kind of paranormal energy, like they could sense cameras, disappear before you could catch them, maybe even mess with electromagnetic fields. Now, I know that sounds out there, but when you've heard the same strange details from totally different people over years, it makes you wonder. He wrote a book called In the Big Thicket, On the Trail of the Wild Man, which I will link down below. You should read it if you haven't already. It's full of local sightings, like this one couple driving down FM 420 just after sunset. Something big and hairy crossed the road right in front of them. 2 legs, moved fast, gone before they could even speak. Another time, father and son were out fishing and they saw glowing amber eyes watching them from the woods. They got out of there real fast. didn't even stop to grab their cooler. Rob listened to these people. He didn't roll his eyes or make jokes. He listened, and he started to see patterns. And now that I've looked into some of these myself, so do I. Now, if you've spent any time in the Big Thicket or even just around Woodville, you've probably heard the name Michael Mays. He's another one of those guys who doesn't just believe, he investigates, interviews people, follows up. He's a researcher with the North American Wood Ape Conservancy, and he's logged a ton of credible sightings across Texas, especially in this area. One of the earliest stories he looked into goes all the way back to 1973. A 17-year-old kid had a run-in with, well, something he couldn't explain. He said he was out near his property late one night when he saw this massive, hair-covered figure just walk across his yard. The thing jumped a 5-foot fence like it was nothing and came within about 10 feet of the car he was in. He locked the doors, like that would have helped, and just sat there, frozen, while it stared at him, eye to eye, like it was thinking, not confused or scared, just curious. Eventually, it turned and walked off into the woods. No rush, just gone. Michael looked into it years later and said the details were consistent with dozens of other reports. Tall, muscular build, thick, dark hair, glowing eyes, and that feeling people always describe like they're being studied, not just seen. And Michael didn't just stop there. In 2022, he gave this talk at the Ice House Museum in Silsbee called Bigfoot in the Big Thicket. During that presentation, he showed a map covered in sighting pins. I mean, covered, clustered all the way through East Texas, especially around the piney woods and the thicket. Way too many to brush off. He had his own run-ins too, by the way. This isn't some armchair guy quoting old stories. He's been out there at night in the brush looking for whatever this thing is. The thing is, not all of these sightings make the news. Most of the time, people don't even want to talk about it. But once you hear one of these stories, it stays with you. Like this one, back in 1995, a retired law enforcement officer named James Jim Roberts was driving down FM420 just after dusk. You know, that weird time where it's not quite night, but not safe to go walking in the woods either. He rounds a bend and sees something step into the road, huge, walking on two legs. He said it was at least 8 foot tall and broad shouldered, and it didn't exactly take its time. The thing crossed the entire road in two strides. Just two. Like, imagine something that big moving that fast. Yeah? No thank you. Roberts went back the next day with a buddy and found giant footprints still pressed in the mud. He never filed a report. He didn't want to become that guy at the department. Can't say I blame him. Then there was a couple camping near Village Creek State Park in 2013. They said they kept hearing these wood knocks coming from across the river, steady, like someone was keeping a rhythm. That night, they woke up to what they described as something heavy walking around their tent on two legs. And the way they told it, it wasn't just passing by, it was circling. In the morning, they found 17-inch footprints all around their site. Now listen, I love a good camp out as much as the next person. But if I hear something circling my tent that sounds like it outweighs a deer, as soon as it leaves, I am backing up in the dark and dragging that tent with me. And here's another one that gave me goosebumps. In 2019, a truck driver named Dennis Caldwell was heading down Highway 69 near Warren. He swears he saw this dark, upright figure step out onto the road, not stumbling or darting, just stepping like it knew it had the right of way. He said it turned and looked at him. And here's the part that stuck with me. He said it didn't look confused or startled. It looked like it was assessing him, like it knew he was the one out of place. That detail, that same "it knew I was watching" feeling, people have said that over and over. Different towns, different years, same stare. You start to hear that enough and you realize whatever this thing is, it's not just lumbering through the woods without a clue. It's aware and it's calculating, and it's definitely not trying to be seen. Here's the thing. These stories didn't start with YouTube or trail cams. People have been talking about strange beings in the Big Thicket long before we ever called it Bigfoot. The Atacapao, I hope I said that right, and the Caddo tribes that lived here way before settlers ever showed up had legends about watchers in the woods. Some say they were guardians. Others thought they were spirits that shifted shape. But one thing they all agreed on: these weren't just animals, and you did not want to cross one. Now, that kind of story sticks, and the further back you go, the more you hear about booger beasts and wild men being spotted near rivers and scratching around logging camps. Old newspaper clippings even talk about them. Real short blurbs like "strange creature seen by trapper near Natchez," just like it was any other Tuesday. And we haven't even hit the weird theories yet. So here we go. Some researchers think that this might be a leftover from a prehistoric species, something like Gigantopithecus. I hope I pronounced that one right. Which, yeah, technically is extinct, but hey, the coelacanth, hope I pronounced that right. It's a funky looking deep sea fish scientists thought was long gone until they found a living one swimming around like no big deal. Yeah, we thought that was extinct too. Look how that turned out. Others believe the Big Thicket's density, how hard it is to really get deep into the center, might be the perfect setup for something to stay hidden, like generations of hiding. And then we've got the real curveballs. People say this creature might not even be all the way physical, that it can vanish, like it leaves no track because it's not fully here in the same way we are. Now, I know some folks check out right there, but I've heard too many people describe the exact same thing: the stillness before it shows up, the way it feels like something changes in the air, the sudden silence. It's like the woods are holding their breath again. All I know is, whatever it is, it doesn't act like any normal animal. It doesn't want to be seen, but sometimes it messes up. And when it does, people remember. Some folks believe whatever's out there in the Big Thicket might be kind of a spiritual guardian. Others, others think it might be a last trace of something prehistoric, maybe even Gigantopithecus, a giant ape that walked upright and vanished from the fossil record. Either way, I don't think it's gone. I think it's still out there. And if it is, it's doing a dang good job of staying hidden. But the thing is, people keep seeing it. New reports still come in. Hunters, hikers, folks driving the same back roads I've driven 100 times. Some of them are scared to talk. Some are dying to finally tell someone who won't laugh. Either way, the stories keep coming, and I don't think they're going to stop. So, if you ever find yourself out on FM420 after sunset or hiking near Village Creek, pay attention. Don't just look, listen. You might hear a knock or catch a glimpse of something tall and silent slipping between the trees. And if you do, don't chase it. Just remember what you saw. Now, have you had a strange encounter in the Big Thicket or anywhere else for that matter? Because if you have, I want to hear it. Drop your story in the comments or message me directly. I don't care if it happened last week or 30 years ago. I believe stories like these matter, and you're not alone. And hey, if you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps this brand new channel grow and reach more folks who love a good mystery in the woods. Thanks for hanging out with me. Stay curious and maybe keep a flashlight by the door.